Howdy. Hey, today we're going to go into oiling of the Cuckoo clock. And I have this one here. And you can see it's got the chimney sweep up on top. And it has the wolf chasing the bunny rabbit. And then there's a squirrel over here. And they all move when it chimes. The problem is the cuckoo's not coming out all the way. So it has some goop on the trolley. You know, or the carriage where the bird comes out. And we're going to watch this thing go off, and hopefully it won't quit before then because it runs for a couple minutes and then it stops. So we're going to oil it, and we're going to go through all this today, and hopefully you'll be able to take care of your cuckoo clocks. And what you want to do, number one, is make sure you have the right kind of oil. Any kind of synthetic oil will do. Doesn't have to be anything really all that special, but it should be in synthetic. And I've got the special oil here that I've got myself. I'm going to show it to you. So you can see I have all the door open up here. I have the chimney sweep up. I did this on purpose when I set it so you can see how it looks when it's open. Normally the door would be closed and it would close itself after it dings. The oil that I use is just this synthetic oil right here. Really any kind of synthetic oil will do. Put my glasses on to read what kind this is. Liquid bearings, but any kind of gear lube. This is just like a 5W30 weight oil. If you put synthetic oil in your car, you can use like Mobil 1 530 or whatever. You can take a little bit, just enough of that and use this. I mean, this is right here. It'll last me, and my grandchildren the rest of their lives. So you don't need this much oil. So I usually recommend just going ahead and just using regular motor oil, the synthetic, 100% synthetic. It has to be synthetic motor oil. You don't want anything that is a regular oil base because it'll attract the dust. So let's listen to this go, and then we're going to show you what happens, and then we're going to take it down. I'm going to take it apart, and you're going to see how to oil this clock. So you could see everything moved, and the cuckoo went ahead and it opened and it closed, but you could hear how slow it was. Okay, you can hear how slow it's going. What we're going to do is fix this to where it operates like normal again. Well, the cuckoo came out about halfway. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is, number one, I don't want to tighten this up anymore, because one of the reasons it's going slow is because when I look up in here I can see the marks where they've taken it and pulled it up. Probably a kid, or something was winding the clock up and not realize what was going on, or anybody, they pull it up too hard and it can damage it. So what we're going to do before we take it off the wall is we're going to lift the weights off and the pendulum. Okay, the first thing we want to do is remove the dust off the front and everything. Then we're going to go into the back. This one has the hook right here, which will close and open the door, which this could also be a cause for the bird not to come out all the way, because maybe this was closed too much so it would only push part way, but it's really not that big of a deal usually. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe this off. I'm going to use a vacuum, so I'm going to mute this part and I will talk through this later, just to show you what's going on. Just standard cleaning. You can see it's got the little tree mark in there on the inside. So you got your black forest trees. Whether or not that's really what's going on here is unknown at this point to me. We will see. This is a black forest cuckoo clock though. And so all we have to do on the back, just slide this little thing up, pull it off. And you know, it says, I don't know if you can see this. It does say made in Germany on it. And remove clips from the bellows, a clock will not cuckoo. And these are your bellows right here. And this is just full of dust. And this is the reason why this is not working. And then here's your chime right here. Just going to wipe this off on the outside real gently. Don't want to use a whole lot of water or anything really all that wet. Wow, that is so dirty. Well, I've seen worse. At least it doesn't have, you know, a spider coming out and trying to attack you as soon as you open the door. That is a plus. This has been cleaned before. Alright, what we got going on here is we want to oil all of these little pivot points, which is each one, these little holes right here, which is the oil bath for the shafts that go through. Okay, so what you have here is an oil reservoir or a oil dam where the oil just is going to sit in there and lubricate each one of the gears all the way down. So we want to oil every one of these parts on both the front and the back. Right now we're just going to do the back, and we'll see how it goes here. And the one thing I did notice is that we got a little bit of buildup down in here. So there's a good chance that what's happened is maybe somebody used an actual little bit of oil, the wrong kind of oil. But you know, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Let's just take this little rag here and see what happens if we try wiping it off with this pen and the rag. See if it comes halfway clean. Yeah, the oil bath looks fine. Just a few scratches here and there. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. Alright, so I've got my oil, and what you really want to do is be sure that you don't put a whole lot of oil in there. You just want barely enough to even keep it going, because you can always come back and oil it some more. And you don't want to over oil, not by any point at all. You want just a little bit of oil. You don't want hardly any. All you're trying to do is put about half that amount that what I've got on here on there. I have to turn this sideways because I can't put that much out of this bottle. It's just putting way too much. All you're doing is touching the spot. Ooh. Now see, that's just way too much oil. You just barely want it to cover. And if you have that much oil, the problem is it's going to drip off of there and it'll suck all the rest of the oil out while it's falling off. So you just want it just to be barely full. And this little applicator on this one isn't as good as my other one. I might have to get my own applicator. Now we got to do the other side. So how are we going to do that? We're going to pull all these little gadgets off here and do it this way? No, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to pull the face off and oil the front that way. It'll just be that much easier. Like I said, this is not Mr. Clockmaker here, so you're not getting, you know, the guy using professional tools. Another way you could do it is you turn it up on its side here. You can look in here and you can oil the sides this way. But, you know, it's just better to go ahead and do it from the front. Always make sure your chains are out of the way so nothing gets scratched. And we're just going to remove the hands. Okay, so what we're going to do is undo this screw. Pull it off. Then these here on your hands, these are actually individual pieces here that'll come apart. So this little piece right here will actually come out of the hand, okay? But this is, you remember the square one is for the outside, and of course it's longer than the other one, and we have it set for just about 10 o'clock. So we'll put it right back in the same place. And what I do is I just set them off to the side. No problem there. Now a lot of times this one here is a little bit trickier to get off. Okay, it just doesn't want to come every time. I don't have a pulley, so what I'm doing is I just use my hands, okay? And what I did was I put my thumbs down here underneath this, alright, then I just used it as a wheel puller, my thumb and my index finger, and I pulled that one right off. Now we can get to the hands. Alright, so we got to take this face off. So, well, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to get a screwdriver. We're going to go ahead and just pop it forward and pull it right off. And this way what we'll do is we'll pull it up forward. Oh, here I can get it with my fingers, I think. So I'm just pulling this off just real gently. Make sure you don't hit anything else. And there it's exposing the face. The problem with doing it up here is that a lot of this stuff is really hard to get to. But we can see I have an oil dam right down here that I want to fill, and I have this one up here, and we have one over here. They're kind of hard to get to, and you don't want to put too much oil in there. And what we're going to do is just do the ones that we can. We're not necessarily going to hit them all. It would be nice if we could hit them all. Okay, so the applicator wasn't working that good. What I've got now is a toothpick. Okay, and what I do is I'm going to put the oil right on the end of the toothpick, just right down at the very tip. I want just enough to where it's not going to drip, but enough to where I can actually put it inside there and get back up in there to these little spots that I need to get to. And I just touch it to the little spot. And it's just that easy. The oil sucks right off the toothpick and right into the oil dam. I put a little more oil on here. You can control the amount of oil by breaking the tip off if you want to. But all you have to do is touch it to the metal and it just goes right to it. And you can get each and every one of these just like this, just by using the toothpick. Okay, you don't have to really use the applicator. It would be nice if the applicator worked, but this one isn't working. So I'm going back to the old-fashioned way. This is the way that Grandpa used to do it. And like I said, all you're doing is just touching the applicator to the spot, and the oil sucks right off of here, right off of your toothpick. I'm going to break a little bit more off of this. I want just a little bit bigger amount for the rest of these. Okay. Like I said, this is just little Mr. Home Improvement doing it himself. But this is how you get it done. And all I had to do was just touch it right to the spot. All the oil came off. I got just the right amount on there. And it works every time. Just got to re-oil it each time. And for the big ones, you put a little more oil on there. For the littler ones, you use a little less oil. Got one more up here. So what you're looking at here is like backwoods clock fixing. We're just oiling the clock, you know, the layman way. We're not using any special tools. Just using the toothpick and my fingers and getting it all right. And that should be good enough. We got all the points that we can get to. You know, is it going to be enough to make everything work? Well, you know what? We hope so. I'm going to take one look up here up top. If I can find my flashlight. Which has mysteriously gotten up and ran away. Oh, here it is. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm a normal guy, so things just like to kind of run away on me. Let's go ahead. We're going to put a little bit of oil. Since the Cuckoo was kind of being a little pain in the butt. Oh, look at that. There's some dust down in there. Well, there's our problem right there with that. Let's see if we can get that dust out of there with, what are we going to use? Hopefully I can get to it with this. I just want to clean this off. This little thing right down in here. Okay, now, look at that. See, we got all that grease off of there. Just a little bit of dust, but we're going to put a little bit of oil down in there. And once again, my trusty dusty applicator. You know, another thing that you want to look at with the Cuckoo clocks is if you're having problems with it and it's not working, you want to make sure that these chains are in the right spots. You got to look at the gearing and make sure that these chains haven't skipped a tooth or, you know, haven't jumped out of their sockets. And this one is fine. Because as you could see when we had it up on the wall, it was just going slow. There's not really a whole lot of problem to it, other than the fact it's going slow. So, Hubert Herr. Looks like Treberg, Germany. Unadjusted and no jewels, it says. And yeah, there's no jewels in these. Unlike watches, you know, when you're looking at watches, you got jewels on the watches. No, that's okay. What I'm looking at is the tail of the bird back in here. I want to make sure that it's smooth because I don't want it to be holding up, and maybe that was the reason it wasn't coming out all the way. But it's out all the way right now. Okay, so we're just going to set this back in here. Now we're going to go ahead and put this on. And notice how I'm putting it on. Okay, I purposely did it like that so you would see that you definitely got to line the hands up. And the thing about this is, you've already got the holes. Okay, and we pulled it out real gently. You've got to line up the holes. Okay, you can feel it drop in, but you got to make sure they all drop into place. And that was all there was to it. It dropped right back in, and that's fine. Okay. Okay, now for the tricky one. Okay, another reason I did it the way I did is because this is already set at 10 o'clock. And we have this hand, when I did it, I had it going straight up and down. So I want it, because this one here can turn, you can have it in any position. I want it going right on the 10, okay? We're just going to push it down on there. Don't want it to go all the way, we just want it to be on there snug. Okay, so here we have it at 10 o'clock, that's fine. And this is going to line up because it has a groove in it. It only fits on there one way. Okay. So here it is, right at 10 o'clock. And then we got this little bearing piece to go on here. Screw our little clasp back on. And once again, this is backyard clock fixing with Reed Lukens. Just oiling your Cuckoo clock is all it is. I mean, we don't need to make any repairs to it. We kind of looked at it. It looks fine. It just needs to be cleaned and taken care of. All right, let's go ahead and put it back up on the wall and see if it works. Okay, let's make sure our chains are unhooked and in good shape here. What the weights do is when the Cuckoo activates, the weight is enough weight to make it rotate. And this is what we're looking for. Oh, that's too slow. So we're going to raise this up a little bit so you can see. Well, in fact, let's do this. Lower this all the way down as low as it goes. Okay. Okay, you see how slow that's going. Okay, now I'm going to raise it up all the way so you can see the difference in the speed. Okay, so you got your fast. You got your slow. Well, that worked, as we knew it would. It's still a little slow, but it's a lot better than it was. Now you can hear it is going good now because you don't need to have the pendulum on there anymore because we got it oiled. It's moving on its own. So I'm going to stop that pendulum. The key before I put the pendulum in it, and there we go. We're just going to let it run. Actually, what we'll do is take it down to the half hour. What was going on with this clock was that it was stopping also because it was going so slow. So it would run for maybe a minute or two, then it would stop. So there was really nothing seriously wrong with it. It just needed to be cleaned and oiled. And what we're going to do now is I'll go ahead and let this run, and you'll be able to watch it go off here in a second. And then we'll do a little time-lapse photography on here, and we'll let it go for an hour or so. Nothing wrong with that. And there we go. We have a working cuckoo clock again. It doesn't just run for 5 minutes anymore, or whatever it was, 2 or whatever, 3 minutes maybe. It's fully oiled and fully fixed. Just remember, be sure that the oil dams are full and not over full, because if they drip, they'll just suck all the oil right out of it and you'll be right back in the same problem. Right now I have a clock that hopefully will last a year or so. And if it doesn't, I'll pull it back down and clean it once again, and we'll go at it one more time. Yeah, I'm happy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been backwoods cleaning, repairing, and oiling of a cuckoo clock.